Hi again, and welcome to Editing with me. And I am looking at this headshot from a recent portrait session and looking to take it to the next level, make it quite wow. We used some pink gels in the set to have this kind of baby pink vibe to match the hot pink on her top. And it's done a bit of colour grading, but apart from that, it's not very much is done to this image whatsoever. So let's have a look through. So the first thing I'm going to do is I look for anything that needs to be removed, anything that is distracting. So I zoom in anywhere between 50 to 100%, and I will just scroll around the image, normally checking the background first. So I can see I found a dust spot right up here. I'm going to take that off. I'm a bit distracted by some of the bits around the hair, but we'll come back to that. Overall, yep, happy with my background. So start at the edges, working my way in. And I'm going to just use my clone stamp to neaten up these little bits of hair, just so they're not as distracting. Let's have a look here. There we go. So it's not really removing entirely. We're just sort of stopping where that frizz comes out, looking just to create a natural kind of line on there. To be honest, these ones don't bug me as much, but I am committed. So let's take these out. They're not adding to the image. If they're not adding to the image, they can be removed. Let's move that there. And finally, that one down there is definitely offending me. Let's take that one out. Okay, so coming across, you can see we've got a hair that has somehow attached. That's just rubbish, isn't it? So I'm going to remove the middle bit first, just by taking my patch tool down a little bit. I'm going to go to this edge here, and overall, that's kind of done a good job. This section here, I'm going to hit delete, content aware. There we go. And perfect. So we're going to just take these little bits off, and I am much happier with that. I remove any small sort of things that have caught the light, but I think we're good from there. So next thing I want to do is I want this to be more of a beauty image. So we're going to do a bit of a skin edit. Now, I always soften bags under the eyes before I do a skin edit. On certain people, it shows up more just by different face shape, but really it's our light coming in from the top, creating that shadow. So I'm going to duplicate my layer, put it on 50%, take just the section of eye down here, just the bag, not this section, this bit here. So not this section. We're looking at taking this bit here, putting that down just to soften it. Okay, so I'm going to flatten my layer, as I don't need to keep that. And I'm going to use my Skin One action that I have pre-written. You can find all of the actions and how I write them on the website, studiophotographyworkshops.co.uk. And because I've already written the action, and I'd say this action works 80% of the time. Sometimes I write a new action using the same technique but different measurements of each setting. But about 80% of the time, I am happy with how this works and how it comes across. Perfect. So if I come in there, you can see we've still got all our detail. But if I turn it off and on, it has just softened that skin. Perfect. And I'm happy with that. Let's bring it back. And so now I'm just going to add a little bit of contour. So we'll flatten our layer. I'm going to go on to my midtones on 20% with protect tones on. Now, yep, you can do this on separate layers. It's less destructive. You go for it. Absolutely fine. I tend to find when I'm working on darker skin, by doing a contour through a grey layer, sometimes it can go a bit ashy, depending on how we do it. So I quite like to do it just directly onto the image. I'll be honest, didn't notice I hadn't done this. Usually I will duplicate my layer so I can at least delete it if I don't like it, or I can turn the opacity down, but I forgot to click the button just then, obviously. So, okay, we're just playing it out. That's fine. That's what this is about. It's about learning as we go. So I'm happy with that. Now I'm going to have a look. There is not really anything eye squiggle wise needs doing, but I'll take the very few bits out that exist. Let's pull that back. Fabulous. Now, looking at the image, I'm looking at what's distracting me. This bit and this bit are annoying me. And the gaps are just not needed. So I'm going to try content aware. Actually, that's done a good job. We can't tell anymore. Let's try on this one. Less of a good job. We've duplicated a bit of earring. But if I can take that back out again, use my burn tool and just take the shadows down a little bit in there. It's already the darkest part of the image, so we're not going to see. I think that looks a lot better. I think that's elevated that quite nicely. Now I'm going to zoom in. We're going to go to the dodge tool again. I'm just going to slightly lift on the eyes just a little bit. Perfect. Now the last thing I want to do is I want to play with my background a little bit more. I think we could make that a little bit more pink, a little bit more hot pink. So I'm going to duplicate my layer. I'm going to hit Control B and I'm going to play until I like the pink. Now I'm ignoring her because I don't need it to be perfect on her. I'm just looking at that background. And I think that's better. I'm going to actually do it one more time and put even more red into it. A little bit more yellow. And I think that's quite nice. And then I'm going to click Select Subject and we'll see how well it does it. I find it's quite either really, really good with edges like this or it really is quite weak. And then I'm just going to hit the mask, and we'll invert that mask as well. That's a bit better on drama. That's definitely lifting that image a little bit more. Now, when we've done this technique, the best thing to do is to go in and have a little bit of a look. As you can see, we've got a little bit of a line coming across here. Now, you can go through and try and blend it out perfectly. You can feather it. I always find the best technique is to have a brush on my mask on like 20%, 30%, something like that, and just slowly brush over the edge just to blend those edges, creates that slight glow, and then we're going to turn it down afterwards. Just ever so slightly blends what you've done lighting wise. To clarify, the reason I'm happy with this blending and bleeding over onto the subject is that we use gels. They were aiming at my subject. It would make sense that the light is bleeding onto her a little bit. This is not a one size fits all kind of rule, of course. So let's just come round into here. And now I can turn that down. Yeah, I think that's quite nice. Finally, I'm going to add a bit of a vignette. We're going to bump it up a little bit. I'm going to flatten that layer. This is the quickest and simplest vignette ever. I'm not doing anything advanced, but we're going to duplicate our layer. Control U, lightness down so it's darker. Just combine it. Control B, make it a tad on the pink side so it matches. Grab any kind of tool for selections and hold it over the face. Right click, hit feather. For me, it's 600 pixels. That's my file type and how I'm using. You might find for you it's 300, 400. You need to find your own method for that. I'm going to hit OK. You'll see the edges have circled. And I'm going to hit delete. I'm going to hit delete as many times as I want until I'm happy with it. And now I have a vignette layer pulling her in. And I can either turn my opacity down. If I'm not happy with that color, I can hit Control B again. And I can keep playing with that until I'm happy with it. So I think I am happy with that as we are. Perfect. And I think that's quite cute. I like it. I think everything about that has done exactly what I wanted it to do. I don't think there's anything else to add. So brilliant. Thank you for joining me. Hope it's been helpful and see you next time.